Hi, thanks for checking out this part 2 of this particular video. This is going to be a kind of a finish up and retest up after we're done on an old PEL PE53. So I'll kind of recap what we've done so far for testing. We got it in, it come on, light flashed, it clicked, but only put out like 3,000 volts. So we put temporarily wired up another transformer to it of a different kind, and then it peaked out like at 10,000. So okay, we knew the transformer was our issue. We're going to replace it with retrofit one into it. I was like, this thing's 25, 30 years old, give or take, somewhere in that 20, 30-year-old range. And I said, I want these capacitors that were on the board were weak or good still. Well, they're reading pretty low for what they should be. So we're in the process of changing out all the capacitors. We've changed out two with new ones. And then we reused, I got to solder this back up, took out one of the other ones, retested it, and realized, I thought it was bad, realized it was good. And there's a big one that sat right here on the front side. It was bad. And so I don't have the exact size. So we're going to retrofit 2 in place of 1 and wire them in parallel, which will add the capacitance together, which will actually equal 1 higher than the original one was, which won't hurt anything. So that's what we're going to do. We're trying to get this capacitor to stay in its place here so I can solder everything. What we're going to do is we're going to add solder to both wires, the leads of the capacitor. And then we're going to add solder some to this wire here. And then we're going to blend the two together. And I'm just going to run it to that spot here, because this whole trace right here is one connection. This whole trace right here is another connection. Heat this spot up. Oh. And then we'll take that one's on there, so now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And if you missed part 1, there will be a link down below, as well as our website links to where you can find us and everything. And then actually this one we're going to just put right here, because right next to it is a solder joint that's the same spot electrically. So we're going to put a little solder on the wire, fuse the two together, snip off some of this excess. Alright, so now we've got to take this other capacitor. It's going to sit right here. Basically do the same thing. Alright, we're going to add some solder to to this lead here, the capacitor, and again to this lead right here, this other side of the capacitor. We're going to strip back fuse the two together. We're going to solder it to this area here. Add a little solder to this plate. Add a little solder to this lead. And then we should just be able to push it down. Heat the two up together. Let's just cool off. Alright, and then we gotta take this little piece of wire here. Put that there, and then we'll run it over to here. Add some solder to that plate there, and then we'll push that down, heat the two up together. Alright. So these do, this one wobbles a little bit, this one doesn't wobble at all. But what we'll do so that thing doesn't move around, we'll take some construction glue, run it across there, and smush it in, and we'll go ahead and put some on this side too. Just once that hardens up, it should stay in place just fine. That'll keep it from wobbling around. Alright, now we're ready to put the transformer in. This is the transformer that we're going to use. It's going to sit about right here. Take this and cut this back to about right there. And I do need to, actually I'm going to snip this off. I'm going to use it. Since these wires are long enough, what we'll do is when we get this transformer kind of set in place where we want it, we'll be all right. But I'm trying to figure out how I want to bolt this thing to the case. There's got a little bit of space right there between the plates and that. I mean, I can glue it, but I don't want this thing to wobble around and come loose. So let's see what we can do here. Let me do some thinking here. Alright, here's my idea. I got these bolts here. I think they're skinny enough to go through the holes, which it does. But we need some spacers that will support that transformer. So I got to find I've got a bunch of them here, different lengths and everything. So I got to figure out which one I need. So I'm just gonna kind of play around here for a second, see which one's gonna work okay where it's not sitting too high. That one's a little high, so we'll put that one back. We'll try this one. Still a little high. We'll try this one. I like that better. Okay, so we're going to use a couple of these. And now I need to figure out where I want to drill the holes I have to screw this down with. So we're going to set it right about here. I think that should work. Or kind of drill a couple spots here. And we'll take a drill bit that's the right size. And we'll drill a hole there. Nothing on the back side. Worry about that. A little bit bigger. That bit's bent. I'll use that one. Alright, so that's going to come through like that. And we'll put our spacers on top. And we'll put the plates aren't lined up right. They're a little bit cockeyed. That's straight. There's one. And there's the other one. Actually, that's sitting a little too high. Still, we might be all right. Let's put a nut on there and see, once we tighten it down, see if it sits where we want it. Yeah, it ain't going anywhere. That's fine. Okay. Alright, so let's we'll solder it, and we're going to heat shrink that as well. Shrink out here. This blue ought to work. Blue will slide down there. Next side's bigger. Alright, so we'll slide this down like this. Slide this down like that. Alright, so now what we're going to do connect the output side of the transformer to the output side of the board. Put some solder on this wire. Put some solder right here. Bring this down and fuse them together. Okay, that one's done. Cut that a little long so we have a little bit of working room. This wire's got like a varnish on it, so we got like a coating on the wire, so we got to cut that off or shave it off or whatever, so we get to the actual bare wire and be able to solder to it and make metal to metal connection versus that varnish being in the way. Alright, so let's see, let's solder that one right there. Let's flip this board over. Let's Suck the solder off right there. Probably should have done this to the other side, to the other one as well, but it's fine. Take this wire and shove it in the little hole there where the other one came from. I'll heat it up. And there we go. Now, hopefully when we put it back together, it still works. Alright, so let's see. These wires come through this little, let's put to this hole here. And the bolts have to slide through these little holes here in the blue case. Oops. Let's solder those two there. And get this thing all back together because we're going to have to take it back apart again. So let's solder this back up. Alright, so now we've got to plug these wires onto that, so we'll get a couple of, there's some solder them to it, because if we ever have to take this back apart, a whole lot of wires sticking through. Let's see what we got working with first. Do they need water? They need water? Okay. What you needing? Let's just leave it how it is, and I'll get my tester back before we bolt this thing all back together. Let's test it out. Hook onto the bolts down here at the bottom, and we'll test, plug it in, and hopefully this will go back up nice and high again. If I did it right, it should. There it goes. Flip this thing up like this. And we need a washer and a nut. this one on. So you can get some new washes, all rusty. Put two there, two there. Fence. Move it off just a little bit because I'm going to retest it. We'll do like a spark jump across it, make sure it throws a pretty good spark out of the thing. Alright, so I'm going to put the lid back on. Let's see. Just this way. Flip it over, put the screws back in it. If I can find all the screws. Oh crap, hold on. We've got to put these back over here, because this is what helps hold the board in place. And we'll put this back on like this. Screws that. So those little plastic things didn't stay in place. Two of them did, two of them didn't. Alright, this one's ready to go. Took forever to fix. This took over an hour to fix this thing. So, but now it's working fine. It was cheaper to fix this and go out and buy a new one for sure. So hopefully you like this kind of stuff, and if you got one of these fence chargers needs to be worked on, send it on in here. We'll take a look at it for you. But we're going to set this one off to the side of the load on it, make sure we run it for probably full 24 hours, make sure we're good to go. But until next time, see you guys later and have a good day.